Hello everybody, my name is Joe and welcome back to Diablo 2 Resurrected. There are some huge news, big patch is coming and it will change so many things. I will give you as comprehensive and short summary as I can manage, so buckle up. General idea of the changes is to give you more flexibility and options while you are building your character. Underused skills and skill trees will receive some boost to make them viable. Basically no nerfs will be introduced to existing OP builds, just more options will be added for you. The repeated idea is that some skills and builds are good early on and then fall off. Some of the changes should keep them viable late game with better scaling, with synergies and whatnot. There will be also new runewords, ladder season is coming and mercenaries will be changed quite a lot, but I will talk about this in a separate video. Before we move on, consider hitting the like, it really helps people with tiny channels. Okay, Amazon. Melee skill changes. Impale will now slow on all hits and it will probably never miss, so there is no attack rating dependency, so I'm thinking like Paladin's Smite, so it always hits. Fend will have improved animation speed, because the Fend right now locks you in animation, which is quite long, and when you like miss the first attack, you are still stuck in the full animation, so you can basically die before the animation ends because you have no leech and life tap going your way, so that really sucks. So Fend Amazon or Melee Amazon is basically unusable right now, and I always wanted to make Uber Slang Melee Amazon, and this seems to be the right time to do that. Bow and crossbow changes. There will be some changes to elemental arrows, so fire arrows and especially explosive arrows will have better scaling late game, and cold arrows will also have some improved damage and probably lower mana cost to like make it more usable during the gameplay. There will be also changes to passive and magic skills. The biggest issue with passive skills like dodge and avoid were the animations, so basically every time you dodge you get locked into some animation. There is a theme with Amazon which prevents other actions, so it could be actually worse to have points invested in these avoiding skills, and this should be solved with the update. And overall it seems I'm rolling an Amazon when the ladder season starts. Assassin! Upgraded martial arts. Martial arts were mostly useless except for the Dragon Talon kick, and this tree should see some nice upgrades with the patch. Like finishing moves won't consume all charges, like you can charge like up to 3 charges and it will consume only 1, so that should give you some more flexibility while playing this type of build. And overall they were talking a lot about making all the martial arts skills a little bit more useful. Shadow disciplines, there will be probably only some minor tweaks like tooltips and whatnot, because the tree is pretty much good as it is, but there is reduced casting delay as I've mentioned in the beginning, and that will be notable for Shadow Master, which can lock you off doing anything or casting anything for a few seconds now. With traps, fire traps should receive better late game scaling because they are like viable early game, but you should like switch to lightning traps like in a Nightmare, I would say. But there will be also some changes to lightning traps, because they will have rework synergies to free up some points for other things. This seems quite interesting to me because hybrid kick trap sin is pretty viable and interesting build already. It's usually used as a rift sin, which with runeword rift, so basically kick a lot, like rift shoots lots of frozen orbs, and you also have your lightning and death sentry, so I'm quite interested where this leads. It should make the build even more awesome, we will see. And basically blade traps should receive the larger or the largest boost, because they are not really viable right now, and they were talking quite a lot about those and making them viable. So I'm pretty excited for these changes too. Barbarian. Okay, there are not that many changes, I think. There should be some improvement to war cries at the higher levels, so we will see. Skills like Grimboard and Find Potion were mentioned to give you more incentive to invest in those skills, so there should be some interesting changes. Leap will be changed, so it's not slow motion jump anymore, it should be a little bit faster and actually usable a little bit more, so there should be even some boost in damage, so we will see. Throw skills should be improved, so throw barb should be even more interesting right now. It's still quite viable build right now, but it might be a little bit more niche than other builds, so it should be pretty easy to build a throw barb right now. There will be added pierce chance to throw skills, which is huge for Barbarian. Double throw will have some base increased damage and overall more damage from throwing skills. There was a mention of Frenzy to have synergies from increased stamina, so there will be some reason to put more than 1 point into increased stamina. Druid. I think Druid received the most changes of all the classes, so let's dive into those. So in the elemental tree, the casting delay changes will be quite prominent with Druid. Fire skills will be improved, and probably especially later game, which means like with more points and synergies invested, there should be better scaling, and the physical portion of the skill should receive the largest boost. And that's pretty good because there is usually more fire immunes than like physical immune or resistant monsters, so this should make fire skills pretty viable. There was a mention about Arctic Blast being a little bit reworked to have better scaling and work as a synergy better, and there also should be some changes into targeting and overall ease of use of this skill for some reason, so we will see about that. Twister should receive some improvement, I'm not sure which, it wasn't really discussed, but there is something about Twister, and it will have some more relation with Arctic Blast, so we will see about that. And shapeshifted forms should be able to cast Cyclone Armor right now, or after the patch, so we will see. Okay, let's move on to shapeshifting. It was a little bit shorter. So, werewolf skills will receive some attack rating boost, and this might be helpful because I remember struggling in Ube Tristram with my werewolf. Unless I use Demon Limb to boost my attack rating with enchant charges, so some attack rating for the wolf should be really helpful. There was a lot of talk about Fire Claws, which would need less synergy after the patch to do more damage. So it's basically you had to invest in the elemental tree quite a lot in Volcano and whatnot to make your Fire Claws usable, and this should not be an issue after the patch. And Werebear should also receive some boost, but they were not exactly specific, but it should be some damage increase for Werebear to make it more viable. Okay, let's move to summoning skills, and boy, this this tree really needs some work. Like there is a lot that can be done about the druid summons, because this is probably the most underwhelming tree to main as a druid. Summons won't have randomized health, if you didn't know. You could basically summon Derpy Wolf next to Alpha Beast, and you have no idea which one is which. And right now that kinda sucks, but after the change the summons will have like flat health and it should be more consistent. Ravens will be revamped to be more like a spell with boosted damage and some synergy options. Like this reminds me of, I believe the name was Fiddlesticks in League of Legends. This champion just was throwing a range spell which looked like raven, so it might be something like that. Seems interesting because you like probably if you even bothered summon ravens, they were just like flying around, not very helpful in the later stages of the game. So having this as like spell which deals damage and also synergize with your main summons, and you can basically summon your wolves and whatnot and throw ravens and at things to boost your damage. It sounds like interesting way to play the game, because like with summon necro you just like AFK and wait for the skeletons to do the work. But with this, it might be actually interesting to have your army of wolves or 3 wolves and also use ravens as spell. Yeah, I think that would be fun build to play. Speaking of wolves, they will do more damage. There was a talk about spirit wolves having some cold damage component to their attacks, so there's the slow and cold effect in play. And there should be some more like identity for the summons, so you would have to think about whether you really want to use dire wolves or you'd rather use spirit wolves. So each should have its own place. Spirit summons will have some physical damage resistance to improve survivability, which means like if you summon your Heart of Oak, it won't die in 3 seconds, it might survive 6 seconds, which would be nice. And there was also mention of Spirit of Barbs to have improved Thorns damage, and Thorns were mentioned quite a lot, and I will come back to that later. The Creeper summons will be better with more invested points, like of course they are better if you invest more points, but it should be like noticeably better, so you should really consider whether you want to put more points in them. It might be a viable option for you now. The summons are improved all over the board. Okay, let's move on to Necromancer. Overall, Necromancers are in a pretty good spot. Not many things like need to be changed for them. But let's look at summoning. The weakest part of summoning tree are of course skeleton mages, and they will have improved damage, so that's nice to see. Blood and fire golem will be overall better, and iron golem again. Thorns aura will be better in some way, and we will get to that later. Poison and bone skills, there should be better synergy for bone spells for late game. And the bone armor was slightly reworked regarding the synergies, so there will be more incentive for you to put points into bone armor instead of the walls and prison, which gives synergy to bone armor, which is actually better than putting points into bone armor. So that's that. Regarding curses, there was a short mention that curses are basically 1-point wonder for Necromancer, and they are thinking about the way to make more sense of putting more points into curses for you. So probably there will be some better scaling for curses with points invested. Okay, let's move on to Paladin. And as you would expect, Paladin does not really need to be more viable, but there are still some slight changes, and mainly boosts for some lesser used skills. Holy Bolt will now have a chance to pierce, and there will be less synergy point dependency, and similar it goes for Fist of Heavens, which will also have chance to pierce, and there will be also less casting delay and some improved targeting and control for Fist of Heavens, so that might be quite interesting, making Fist of Heavens like viable PVM skill, like next to hammers. That would be nice to see. There will be some better scaling for offensive auras, and namely Holy Freeze, Holy Fire and Holy Shock. There will be better damage, better AoE, and it will be also based on the distance from the caster, so the closer the monster is to you, the more damage you will deal with these auras, so that might be fun. And regarding the thorns, they didn't exactly say it what they did, but they were contemplating damage scaling like percentage versus flat, and doing some damage on attack instead of auto reflect. That like could work, that while you are being hit you are like building your thorns damage, and once you hit back you will hit for that much more. So we will see how this will be implemented, and they sort of depend on public testing, so we will see how that goes. Okay, Sorceress is also in a good spot, but like what do you really want to change? But there are some slight changes they will make to Sorceress to make it even better, so let's see. Okay, Cold Armors will have some changes to give you some head scratcher in which of those armors you want to invest and which one you want to use. There will be some lightning and fire skills improved, and not all of them, but some which are underused. Inferno was mentioned, Hydras were mentioned, because there is quite a long casting delay for Hydras, and without the casting delay it might be more viable. I'm not sure whether there will be some boost to damage, but they were talking about the Hydras in a few points during the stream, so there should be some more options for you. And regarding lightning skills, Nova was mentioned to be boosted, and there should be some nice synergy going on between Nova, Static Field and Thunderstorm. So probably Thunderstorm was reworked slightly to be probably viable. That might be interesting. And I believe that's it from the classes. Yes, that's it. Pretty huge, right? I'm super excited for all the changes. Like, I think they don't take anything away from the original game, but give us so many options. I will definitely change my plans to roll an Amazon during holidays, and I will wait for the ladder season to hit and try the new Amazon. And what about you? What do you think about all this? Like, are you happy about the changes? Would you rather if Diablo 2 Resurrected stayed the same as the original Diablo 2? What build seems most fun to you? Talk to me down below, you know the drill. And consider hitting the like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, if you found it informative. And I will see you in the next one, in which I will cover the Rune Wars, Mercenaries and other changes that were mentioned during the stream. So with all that said, see you in the next one, bye!